Cantina Cast Patreon content.
Hello, Patreon members. Is this loud enough now? Hey, Jonesy, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing good. If anybody can hear me, we had some issues in the last show where my volume was, I guess, lower than expected, and we were trying to troubleshoot before we came on, which is why we had a late start. But
yeah, and since it's Patreon, we'll pull back the curtain a little bit. So we use a service called StreamYard to broadcast out to YouTube and all that stuff, and there's not a monitor out, so we don't always have a really great feel for like what the sound is. So when the music plays, it sounds really loud, and then we'll come in and it's really soft, and then one of us is not the same level, but we don't have a really way of monitoring it until it actually goes out. And then everyone is so subjective on what they hear to where like everything's fine. I'll go listen to it. I'm like, no, that is not good. That like one is lower here and much more critical on it. But anyway, so we appreciate everyone's flexibility with this as we try to continue to figure out what to do with all this stuff.
yeah,
I mean, this is why we joke we fix it in post, but I mean, that's kind of that's the benefit of a podcast is you don't have to worry about the weirdness of a live stream. It just
right.
You get to exactly specify what you want it to sound like within the quality of what you got.
Yeah. So I would, ideally, our volume should be about the same. Like you shouldn't hear me any lower. You shouldn't hear Jonesy any lower. The intro music should be at that same level. But to his point, like we just don't have a way to. It's like a crapshoot. Like, and there have been times when Jonesy's been soft and I've been loud, and vice versa. So it's just the unpredictability of it at times is kind of frustrating. So,
yeah.
All right, but enough of that. But yeah, let us know in the chat if for whatever reason if I sound softer, louder, etc. Throw it in there. It would help us honestly, so we can fix stuff in post. And okay, but hey, you know what we're here to do? We're here to talk about
a little show and tell.
Crap, stuff that we've bought. More junk to go into our homes.
Yeah, and actually what I did is I kind of went back in the Wayback Machine. I had some stuff laying around, some bags, some Ziplocs, some old Target bags, and I was like, I'm gonna kind of pull, it's not totally retro, but stuff in the last 10 years or so. But one thing that I stumbled across, I showed you before the show, and this is usually your thing. It's not Star Wars related, although there was a lot of Star Wars involved with it though for a long time, was I found my old original Walkman. And so for those that don't know, like this is a cassette player.
Yeah.
It plays tapes and it, just has the really basic functions, play, fast forward, stop, all that good stuff. But anyway, the original Sony Walkman, there you go, or at least one of the originals from my childhood. This played a lot of music, but also one thing of interest is I had the Heir to the Empire trilogy on cassette tape. Yeah, I had it because it came in a nice little packaged box, kind of like a deck of card type of box, or like, a card game that you would go buy at Target or Walmart or wherever. And so you had the cassettes in there. And so that was really cool. But that's how I listened to Heir to the Empire trilogy for the very first time, was on cassette in that very Walkman.
Wow.
So,
yeah.
Just thought I'd kind of bring that up and a little blast from the past. And I thought you'd appreciate that because that's kind of your thing.
Yeah. And you don't have the headphones, do you?
Oh, not anymore, because those fell apart long ago. Yeah.
Yeah, that soft padding stuff tends to deteriorate over, in the course of like 10 years. It's pretty much gone at that point. You had also mentioned it has DC power, which I was laughing at because I was like, who the hell was running DC power back in the day?
I mean, yeah, because it runs off 2AA, but on the bottom, there's clearly a DC input right there. It says 3 volt. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. Now, this does not work because the batteries that are still in here are probably years old. And since I live in a very humid place, they've exploded in there. So,
yep.
Not functional. It doesn't have the clip either, but yeah, it was fun.
All right.
Anyway,
so
what's your first thing?
Well, I'll stick to the Star Wars stuff because I did pick up another shirt at Five Below, which I won't bring.
I love how you say that. Like you're the one that's always the one keeping us back on topic. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. So I'd shared this little Pop Mini figure. What do they call it? Again, I don't collect these things. So
those are the Pop Mini vinyl final.
I shared that I'd picked up Cara Dune because I just love her as a character, right? And it's really cool. She actually sits back here on the main shelf. But then I went back to a different Five Below, and they actually had the Mandalorian. So I picked him up for $5 here.
Oh, nice.
I've not opened him up anything yet, but
I like the little foil on the numbers. And those are
Those are
really
great.
cool. I've got some from when they were doing those for Solo a Star Wars Story, and I like them better than the full size Funko Pops that are the bobbleheads. I prefer the Funkos that are the full vinyl, like this Thrall here
Hmm.
from Bobo is not a bobblehead. It is actually just vinyl, and
Right.
it has limited movement on that. But I like those because they're nice and tight and they don't move around as much, and there's still a lot of detail to it, and they're just so cute.
And they take up less space, which is
Exactly, which is
really nice.
which is essential for you right now.
Yeah, yeah, it's getting pretty cramped. Although I added another bookcase since you've been here, and it is already full of more stuff. I keep adding bookcases, and then I go to the garage and bring in another box, fill it up, buy another bookcase, fill it up. So I've got several more boxes out there, but I'm getting almost to the point where everything that needs to be in this room is now in this room. So, which is great because my sound is starting to become like a sound booth. It's just so well insulated now with like books and
Maybe that's
all
the
kinds of
source
different.
of our problems. Your sound is just getting too good because of all
Right?
the
Yeah.
acoustic treatment you've got there from crap on your shelves.
Sure, sure. All right, what do you got?
Yeah, another one that I kind of stumbled across, and I may have talked about this a long time ago, but every once in a while, Lego does these cool, and if you can kind of spotlight me, here's my
Yeah, let me
focus
see.
isn't really working very well. They do these little display stands for, the Lego for minifig, and so this is a Scarif Stormtrooper. Of course, it's one of Mike's favorite, but I just love it. They have this little cardboard that just bolts to the back, just do this little
Oh yeah.
stand, and you can. I've got another one like this. It's a droid, and they just kind of click together. But I just think these are just so cool. I just love the stand itself. It just looks really good, especially if you want to display them in a different way. They just don't do a lot of them, so they almost stand out and don't. I mean, there's nothing unique about the Trooper at all in any kind of way, but but it's a cool way if you want to, just show it by itself, and you can pull. You pull the little tabs out of the side. It's all modular, of course, but it is Lego after all.
Yeah.
But
Did
it's
you
pretty
get
cool.
that minifig though? Because they were, I want to say, when Rogue One came out, they were doing that minifig almost as like you could purchase on its own, or it came exclusive when you did something. I forget what the rules were, but there was a way to get that at one point.
Yeah, Lego from time to time, especially around holidays and things like that, they'll do little packages that if you spend $50, you get this as an extra thing. And that
Mhm.
was probably something along those lines for that. When
Okay.
you bought enough sets or $75, you'd get these free items to go along with it. And so that's probably one of them. I could go look it up. It's got a number and everything on it, for the identification number. But yeah, or it may have just come in because it may have been one of those little poly bags. Like you can kind of find them in the checkout lines of your major Walmarts and Targets, all that. But so I think it came in something like that, but I'm pretty sure it was a bonus.
Yeah. Okay, so for my next one, I have food, which I don't think I've ever shown food on here. So Star Wars food, not Star Wars food. So I don't. You probably have seen these already, but this is goldfish. Have you seen this?
No,
Limited edition.
I don't go into the store. Oh man, they got like Mandalorian helmet
Yeah,
shaped
like
goldfish.
You can see it. Let me see if I can put it there. Yeah.
Yeah,
You got a
girls.
Mandalorian helmet, then you got the typical fish, and then there's an Ahsoka head there as well. And then it says on the back of it, you can see it says an out of this world snack for all your snacking adventures, and it's got Mando and Ahsoka there on the back there. Here's a better look at the different.
Oh
It's
wow.
a snack across the galaxy as well. So
All right, so you got Mandalorian, Grogu, and Ahsoka. Wow.
mhm. So
If
there's no-
goldfish could not get more delicious,
I
then they
know.
put 'em- merge it with
Oh,
Star
yeah.
Wars.
Sorry, yeah, you're right. It does have like the little baby crib there, or what
Oh,
do
it's
they
the
call it?
pram,
Yeah,
pram, whatever.
the pram. So there's Grogu. But not to be outdone by this, hold on. I also picked up a second bag that has Grogu on there. So look how cute he is. This is like right up, Lauren's alley here in terms of, product placement and
So
influence.
the real question is, are you going to order? Oh, it's got a stormtrooper on the back of this one.
Yeah.
But the real question is, are you going to open and eat it, or are you going to keep them pristine in the bag?
Yeah, I'm going to keep these and never open. No, I probably will snack on these. I'm not a big goldfish fan, honestly.
What? Why do you hate America?
I like Cheez-Its better. I'm more of a Cheez-It person.
Oh yeah,
Than a
they're all
goldfish
good with the
person.
salt. Yeah, Cheez-Its are loaded with a lot more salt. That's for sure. Cheez-Its
Yeah.
used to have a lot of Star Wars stuff too.
Yeah, they did. Back there was one of the movies, there was like limited edition boxes of all those stuff. I forget which one it was. Was it the sequel trilogy? One of those?
Oh, probably yeah.
I forget.
I
But
can't keep all straight anymore.
Anyways, I picked those up at Target. I saw them and I thought, oh, that's cool. I'll grab those. But it had Grogu on it, so you have to buy it.
Nice. Well, hey, since you picked up a blind or not blind box, but the pop minis there, I had some things that were part of the Star Wars Vinylmation blind box stuff, and I'm usually pretty. I really hesitate when doing blind box stuff because I will just sink a ton of money into them and you
Oh,
just never
really?
get what you want. But sometimes they're just so cool you can't do it. So these are part of the Series 2 Vinylmation, um, part of their Star Wars. They call them vehicle set, but there's these helmets, right?
Let me
And
pull it
they're
up
they're
here.
they're painted, yeah. And so they were basically they were blind boxed, and you got five, or there were five different ones that you could guarantee to get. And the camera is
Hmm.
just let me just turn this let me turn this effect off just to make sure this is a little easier to do. So they had five guaranteed designs, so these were two of them. And then wow, turn itself back on. Gosh, yeah, all sorts of technical stuff. But anyway, so I never got a chase one. Then they had some that you had to wear chase, but whatever. But I just thought it was really cool, especially this one right here with the orange and the X wings on it. So I just thought these were really neat.
Yeah, it's
These
almost
have a
like
little bit.
Sabine Wren went through and
Yeah,
tagged all of these in
exactly,
some way.
exactly. So I think at the time these were probably like $5 or $10, kind of like your pop minis. That you could go and get them, and they were blind package you never got. Now you go and buy these, and they're about like 20 or something like that.
Oh,
So I
really?
couldn't remember exactly when I got these. It hasn't been that long, sometime in the last 5+ years, I would imagine. But again, and pretty cool little neat things. And they're doing the Vinylmation stuff. And this was really big at the Disney parks too. So I think these were actually technically, I think, designed for like Euro Disney or something like that.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, the Vinylmation thing was really taking off at Disney, especially in the parks where you'd go into the art shops and they'd have these different paint jobs on things. It was, you would take like a stormtrooper helmet, like in this case, and you would just have different artists come in. Some were official Lucasfilm artists or Star Wars artists, and some were street artists, things like that. It was, again, just to very much like what we have today, right? Of just getting different perspectives. It was the very beginning of all of that, of bringing in smaller time talent that hadn't really been found yet,
Hmm.
and giving them a voice and giving them a canvas to be able to do something on Star Wars. And we had things like these Vinylmations. That was really cool to be able to do.
Yeah. I can't remember the last time I did a blind box anything really with Star Wars, anyways. I mean, I've certainly wasted a lot of money on things that were blind box, but nothing specifically. I mean, maybe the closest thing was do you remember the Young Jedi card game that came out right around the Phantom Menace that everybody bought and nobody played? Do you remember that thing?
That sounds like most Star Wars card games. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Which, by the way, I looked into. No, let me finish the story. So that was the last thing I probably bought that was blind, and by blind box, it was just random packets of cards, of course, and you never know what you were going to get, kind of thing.
Right.
And I spent a lot of money on that. In fact, Alex didn't join the show tonight, but I think he still may have all of those. As a matter of fact, I think I may have handed them to him just because I wanted to get them off my out of my hair because they were just sitting there doing nothing. We played the game. It was actually pretty fun. I thought it was fun, but it was very limited. It was not as expansive as like Magic or anything like that, of course, at the time.
Right.
But yeah, but other than that, and I see them out there all the time. I see all these little Star Wars blind box type stuff, and I've just never invested in them because, like you said, it can get kind of lucrative in terms of how much money you spend just to complete the collection. I find it easier just to go out to somebody who's already bought, cases of these things and selling the full sets for a premium price. You probably come out ahead, honestly, money wise.
That's a lot. It's like the blind packaging for like the Lego minifigs. A lot of people will just buy tons of them. They'll just buy a box of them now. Some people are very good at, I won't use the term my friend Jimmy uses because it's a little profane, but basically you can kind of feel the character in the bag. And some people get very good at it. They can
Mm.
tell you
Oh,
what
I've
is in
seen
the
them.
package in the
Yeah,
market, so they know exactly what they do. So they maximize the value so they can get the ones they want, maybe pull their duplicate and then sell the rest and be able
right.
to kind of churn that over, recover some of your investment as well. So it's the people who have that. I've tried that and did not do a great job. And so some of them are pretty obvious, but again, the blind packaging thing is man, that's a money sink. I think
Yeah.
it's fun. It's addictive. That's the problem.
I was looking into Star Wars Unlimited today. I
Yeah.
don't know why I did that. I purposely said I'm not going to look at it because it was pure ignorance, right? If out of sight, out of mind, I won't have to even be tempted because I know I'm going to be tempted. And for
Hmm.
whatever reason, I was like, oh, let me just take a quick look. And
If
I thought,
Jonesy would stop putting it in the way station notes.
well, now I'm like, oh my gosh, how
What do
much
you
is
think of
this
the art?
game going to cost me? I
Yeah. What do you
like
think of
some
the
of it.
art?
I like
Yeah,
some
because
of
the
it
art's very different than what we've had in other card game art.
for sure. It does not look, you're right. It doesn't look like the other art that we would expect to see. It almost feels like, what was the Star Wars Galaxies? I don't know if that's
Yeah, a
what
little
you,
bit.
in terms of the different styles. It's not, what is it, consistent? I
Yeah,
guess.
it's not. I've actually got the deck building game right here with me right now. I wasn't going to show it tonight, but I can kind of show a card. Most people probably have an idea of what most of these card games kind of look like. Sorry for the noise.
No, you're good. But yeah, and then I've got a just quickly. I've got a buddy at he's got a hobby shop down in San Antonio. It's funny. I hired this guy when he was pretty young, and now he's gone on. He's like he's got a successful hobby shop. It's called Sentinel Hobby down in San Antonio. Anyways, I pinged him and said, "Hey, what does this look like?" Because he was mentioning there's a Disney one coming out. Yeah, let's
This is
see.
not going to work.
Jones is
Yeah.
trying to hold one up right now. That's not Star Wars Unlimited though, is it?
No, that game's not out yet. These
Okay.
are from the deck builder game.
Deck Builder, right? Yeah, that one's hard to see right now, but
Yeah, they'll do a better job another time.
But I had pinged him on the Disney one, which that looks pretty intense, like extensive, I guess. And I forget
Yeah.
what it's called, like Enchanto or it's not Encanto because I think that's the name of the movie.
That's
that
the name
came
of the
out.
movie.
But it's got some kind of a weird name like that, right? But I'd asked him about Star Wars Unlimited, and he said that 2024. He said based on what he's seen, there's not going to be a huge run for it. Like it's going to be out there. Like they're going to mass produce this thing to no end. I think they're starting with the Rebels set. I think is what it's called, or Spark of the Rebellion is the first iteration of that. So
Something like that.
yeah. So anyways, I'm pretty excited about that, even though it's just not going to be. It's not going to go well with me in my pocketbook. I can tell you right now.
Yeah, that's a game I'm probably gonna at least get into it. If I can get it on the ground floor, I feel a lot better about some of that stuff, and I don't feel like I'm playing catch up. But the problem I have with those games, because I really just want the art and I like the experience of playing others, but usually it's twofold. One, I don't always have someone to play with, and then two, which is usually the biggest problem, and then two, they discontinue or they have seasons, and so I forgot what the official term is, where they don't allow you to use the cards anymore.
Right.
They basically put them in, like, not the vault, but they're just not they're not
Regulation.
they're not tournament legal kind of thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't use them, and that you have to go and buy new ones, and then they do this cycle way too frequently, and so it really does feel like they don't value as a player; they just value your pocket. Or rather than expanding the game, they're making you reinvest in the game constantly. I have a problem with that. I get it financially and from a business standpoint, but it's really tough for everyone to keep up with that, especially if you don't feel like you can play to where you feel like you're getting good. Now you're just collecting the cards because you want to collect baseball cards, basically.
Yeah. Yep. No, I'm with you there. Like it's very challenging to buy those, and then like you said, find somebody to play with, number one, but then it stinks that you invest that much money and stuff gets deregulated. And it's all for in the spirit of balancing the game, right? And being able to produce more cards. And I get all that, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, there's probably some monetary thing that's, benefiting the company.
Without a doubt.
I hate to say it, but that's the case. Okay. All right. Well, enough of card collecting. All right. So hold on to your hats because this thing is way too freaking cute. Look at this.
Oh, that's adorable.
This is the this is the Star Wars. They released a few of these, right? There was these little cuddly things. I want to say there was a Rodian maybe, and I think they had like I forget. There was like 4 of these things that were released, and I'm holding up right now. But this is Wicket. It's like a baby Wicket that was stuffed.
So yeah, for those listening, it's almost like a chibi stuffed animal of sorts. So it's very kind of baby faced, little loving eyes are looking up at you, pleading almost. And Lauren is losing her absolute mind in the chat now.
In all caps. Where did you get it? You can. I think they still. So I picked this one up at Target. I think they still sell these. You can find them online still, but I don't think they're making them anymore. These actually came out last year, and this just happened to be sitting on a shelf all by itself. And I thought it's just too freaking cute. So I purchased it. It's going back there on the shelf, and it's actually where it was, I think, in the last show, believe it or not. So it's really cute, man. I don't know. They did a great job with this thing. I don't know if they've sold out, if they're going to make any more, or there's going to be a second series of them, but it's by Mattel also as well. So for what that's worth, if anybody cares.
Right.
Mattel made this one. So
interesting.
Cool. Interesting.
Thought you were a little old for stuffed animals, but
Yeah,
I'm not here to judge.
I've got Gizmo over here. You've seen that one when you were here.
Oh yeah.
And I've got my Loth Wolf back over here.
Oh no, dude! I've got Wesley Wampa out there guarding the phone charger and the device that should not be named because it'll start going off in the next room. But yeah, my little miniature Wampa that I just absolutely love. He's the cutest.
$60. I don't think I paid $60 for him, but that's probably because he's no longer available or he's hard to find. I would imagine.
That's
I think I
rough.
paid half of that, but yeah. Anyways, what do you got?
All right, so my last one here is a kind of a twofer. I've got a ton of these, but in the spirit of the Vinylmation, when you had mentioned Sabine, so I was like, you know what? Something that I'm absolutely in love with, and I've loved these things. They don't do them anymore. Was the Disney's Infinities game,
Mm.
and they had so many of these really cool collectibles that you could do. All of the different characters and whatnot. And I've got so many of these in Star Wars, and so I just thought I pulled out a couple. I've got an Ahsoka one here on camera,
Yep.
where she's looking all Billy Badass with her lightsabers drawn behind her.
Here,
And
let me
then,
throw
and,
this-
and
let
since
me
it's
show all
Ahsoka
that.
season, oh yeah, thanks. I'll put it back up there real quick. Yeah. So anyway, she's just really cool.
Yeah, they did such a good job with those models.
I just wanted to collect them. Like I really didn't care for the game a whole lot. I know that's kind of blasphemous. A lot of people loved it.
Oh, the game was amazing.
Yeah. And then I got
Sabine
Sabine here as well. Yeah.
holding a dark saber too.
No, she's not holding a dark saber. She's holding a paint gun,
No, I'm kidding.
standing on a helmet, and that's what kind of inspired me about it. But yeah, and so these are the regular bases, and I've got a couple of them that have the actual light up. So I've got a Yoda one. They right before they stopped doing the game, they came out with the Yoda one. I don't have it with me here, but like the lightsaber would actually light up when you put it on the base. And so I think they had one for Kylo Ren and Darth Vader. I wasn't able to get all of them, and of course when they went on discount, those are the first ones to get picked up. But I've just got a whole crate of these things, of Disney ones and Marvel ones. Like some of my favorites are actually some of the Marvel. Like I've got the big Hulk Buster and Spider-Man in the symbiote costume and all sorts of great ones in that one. And but I've got a lot of Star Wars ones too from across the eras. The Chewbacca one's actually kind of fun to look at too, and the Vader one's huge. But they're just so cool. I just wanted to collect them. They just look so great.
Yep.
Just from a display perspective, and the fact that they gave them each like their own little base, even with the circle base that goes on the pad that you plugged into the PlayStation or whatever, but just that they have their own little base, and it just completes the look of it, and they don't look cheap. They feel great. The way they're painted is absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, if you ever find these in a garage sale or a yard sale, or even some stores still have them on the shelves, or once in a while you find them in the clearance aisle, I'd pick one up just for a display. They're really nice. I like them a lot.
Yeah. No, so that game, I can't tell you how many hours we put into that game. Honestly, with the kids, they freaking love that game, and they were into the whole creative building process, which was actually pretty extensive. Like you could really do
Right.
some cool builds in that game. But I think we collected everything. The only things we didn't have were some of the original, the first series stuff that came out for like. Even then, we picked them up kind of one offs, but like the Toy Story and Monsters Inc. Some of those that first set,
Right.
but once 2.0 came out, we picked up every one of these things, and we got some of what you were referring to was the FX series.
Yeah,
Those are
there
the
you
ones
go.
that would light up.
Mhm.
We got some of those, but I tell you what, we when we moved, we threw all of them into a bin because in the bin's massive. I mean, it's just a huge collection of these things. We were unpacking them, probably about a year ago when we first moved into this house, and all of the lightsabers are broken. Like
Oh,
all of them
no.
are broken, like every one of them. And I have a Ezra somewhere around here, but I broke the lightsaber on that one too. And I thought, holy, but I was so mad. I was really upset because it's his original like blaster lightsaber one.
Yeah, yeah.
And I ended up finding another one on eBay, and I went and purchased that one. And when I got it, the picture in there was perfectly fine, but the guy didn't package it correctly. And so it came delivered and it had a broken lightsaber. When I opened it up, the lightsaber was broken on it. So I have two now. He just refunded me and I kept it. So I've got two Ezras that are broken. I have the lightsabers and I've glued them on, but they come off. It's just that's the only feedback I would say is like those lightsabers are so fragile and they're really not meant to be tossed around, to be fair, right? I mean, they're supposed
Right.
to sit somewhere nice and pristine, but yeah, they are pretty fragile and will break pretty easily.
Yeah, and that was when I got into it. I think it was the 2.0 when it came out, because that's when Star Wars and Marvel really, I think they launched it with like Captain America and maybe the original Spider-Man or something like that, or a
It was
couple.
Thor, I think.
Yeah, Thor, there you go. Yeah, so it really got into the Marvel ones. It wasn't just your classic Disney animation. It was all of a sudden getting into everything else. So Disney Infinities 2.0 was just kind of blew the roof off of where it was going. And so we got in at that point and have a lot of these. So if you have some that are broken, send me your wish list and I'll see what I've got. I can't remember if I've got an Ezra though. I might, but I can't remember if I do. But who knows? Christmas is around the corner. You never know what'll appear in your under your tree from Santa.
We bought 3 Darth Mauls too, because that Darth Maul one is really cool because he does have the double bladed lightsaber.
I don't think I have that one.
I don't know if you've seen his pose. He's kind of almost at an angle holding the lightsaber in front of him and his hands kind of behind him at the same time. But like you said, they're just so cool. I want to. Didn't they release some of these as standalone? Like they didn't have the chips in them. They were just, and I can't remember what they called it. It was like the
So the Disney Toy Box, which is actually they still
that's it. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So Disney Toy Box is still they were bigger figures, but then I think they went away from the bigger side of the toy box. Now it was like a blend of Infinities in the toy box line to where they're actually more action figure-ish.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're probably a little bit bigger than this now because I mean these are pretty small. I mean this is not the same as like a 3. I mean it's probably about the size of a 3/4 inch, but a little bit bigger that way. But I think they're probably closer to 4 or 5 inches now.
Yeah.
But yeah, the toy box are still out there, I believe. Although it's kind of difficult to find them all the time. But yeah, that was where they went, and I don't think they have near the extensive lineup that they have with Infinities though.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, that was a fun little jaunt down memory lane. All right, so the last thing I have is, as you guys probably can see back here, I've got wrong hand. This is always so weird. Right there. So I had the Boba Fett Lego helmet that I put together.
Yep.
And I think I shared that. Well, I'm gonna officially call myself a collector because I picked up the Luke Skywalker Red 5 helmet.
But you're still not a pin collector.
Nor do I collect pops. So, but yeah, you can see this. And I know everybody's probably seen this already. And I'm way late to the game on this because there's so many cool helmets that I was like, oh, yeah, I want to get that someday. And I never did. And now I'm going to pay an arm and a leg to go back and try to pick up all of these. And I've not even opened this box yet. At some point, I'll get to it.
It is so irritating that the Star Wars, like these are so cool. Like I want the Cody one. I want the Rex one. I think they've got a Scout Trooper. I don't know if they make that one anymore. And of course, they had Mandalorian, Boba Fett, and all of that. But the Star Wars ones are like $60 or $70, whereas the other ones, even the Marvel ones, are like $10 less.
Cheaper, yeah.
Yeah, and it just pisses me off that we have to pay this premium because they're so cool. And there's a couple that are like actually really well done on the Marvel side. I think they've got like a Venom one that's really well done and really kind of dynamic. I think maybe Carnage as well. But that we have to pay a premium for the Star Wars one really does get under my skin a little bit. Man, I sound very salty today.
Yeah, you're getting older, but that's fine. We understand.
Yeah, but it's just frustrating, right? Because it's like, why do I have to pay more for this when the quality is just as good on the Marvel side as what we're getting on this side? But I guess people buy it. But those are so cool. I've resisted it. I love that Luke X-Wing one too. That's been one I've looked at for a while. I look at it a lot closer. It's like $40, but we'll see.
Yeah, and honestly, so again, my kids actually have. So I know one of them has the Darth Vader one. One has the TIE Fighter pilot one, the black TIE Fighter helmet.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And then what is the other one? There's one other one. I want to say it's a Stormtrooper one. And I went and looked at those, and they no longer make them, of course. And so with anything Lego, if you're aware of that, it's just, it's like $180 now to buy some of those.
Yeah, as soon as they go out of stock, basically they skyrocket in value.
So it's just a matter of time before they move out, and then I will move in and strike and take it and put it back here. So at some point they will be. Hey, it's my money anyways, right? I bought.
That's
this.
right.
No, I'm kidding.
Well, no, it's one of those things of like at some point, this is what kids do. They will stop wanting to appreciate Star Wars and forget about that part of their childhood, and you'll just be like, okay, well, I'm going to hang on to it, but there's a statute of limitations on how long I'll hang on to it, and then it becomes mine.
7 days. So don't come back in 10 years asking for it because it's no longer yours, buddy. It's mine.
Wow. You're like the post office. You don't come pick this up soon. We're sending it back. Sorry.
Yep. Return to sender is exactly what's happening.
Return to sender.
So yeah, I'm excited. I want to finish collecting all these. Now, whether or not I put them together, that's going to be a whole totally different story. But I will at least make an attempt to get some of these because I still haven't finished the stinking land speeder back here. I don't know if you can see it. It's sitting back up here on the shelf.
It's mostly
it's
there.
Engineless right now. There's none of the engines.
Oh, it's at Pellimato's shop on the eve of the Bunta Classic.
Yeah, it's just sitting there waiting.
So it is done. Repairs. It's just the Mandalorian version.
Exactly. That's probably the case. So at some point I'll get to it.
What's really messed up about like the Lego and really toys in general, I think, is that the box art on some of these things is so great that I really don't even want to open it up just because I love the presentation of what we get of, the figure on a card or a Lego in a box, like just the pictures they do. I mean, just the deck building game, the presentation on what they do is just so fantastic these days. I mean, it has been for a long time, of course, but it's always difficult to want to open it up and like break it out of that because taking it out without damaging it is an art form in and of itself, and I don't have the patience to do that. So if I'm taking it out, likely that packaging is not hanging around unless I really need it for something.
Yep. Well, that's the last thing I had. Did you have any more?
No, that's everything I had. Thought I'd keep it kind of short and sweet, kind of trip down memory lane.
Yeah. Well, this was fun. Always fun to bring out our wares and talk about Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, little teaser for what I'll bring out next week, though.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I intended to do them this week. I just totally forgot. I'll bring out a Lego play set. That's pretty neat. And then we'll take a trip down Star Wars miniatures. So the Star Wars miniatures game lane with a couple of vehicles in the Star Wars miniatures game.
Oh.
That are rather large. So they're a lot of fun. You don't see them very often. So I thought I'd break those out. So that'll be a little teaser for next week.
Okay. Well, I might have to go back to 1988 and bring out some of my some Star Wars role-playing game accessories, not the books, but some accessories that I picked up around
Accessories.
That era as well.
All right. This is got piquing my interest a little bit here now.
One of them's not even open. It's been sitting there since 89 or something, and it's still in the shrink wrap. And I don't know, maybe I'll open it. I don't think I will, but it would be fun to open as well at some point. So
yeah, and along those lines, when I went out for the celebration shows out to Albert's, he introduced me to RPGs or role-playing games. And so we actually sat around the table and he attempted to get us all to play Star Wars role-playing game.
Yeah.
And I think we made it to like 2 or 3 rounds because it was not even organized chaos. It was just kind of chaos, but it was a lot of fun. It was really interesting. It's a lot harder than it seems when you're trying to go through okay, I don't even know what I can do. So I'm really interested to see what accessories look like within an RPG, setting, especially tabletop, and really kind of wordplay and imagination. So I'm really curious to see what this is all about.
All right. Well, more on that next week, and I'll bring up my Return of the Jedi lunchbox as well because I like to show that off. And
I was so close to buying you 2 lunchboxes I saw a few weeks ago. I forgot where I was at, and I saw these 2 vintage lunchboxes, and I was like, but they wanted just way too much for them. I think they wanted like $50 or $60 each for it. I was like, I'd like you, just not that much. Here's a book.
That's fair. I totally get it. Absolutely get it. So,
right.
All right.
I mean, maybe I'll buy you something nice for Mark Hamill's birthday. I don't know.
Okay, that would be nice. I forget when that is, but I would really appreciate that. So, thanks for doing that. Okay, well, we'll close up shop, and we'll be back on Sunday, of course, to do our Patreon spotlight as well as the way station. So we'll talk about all the news. There's been a couple things that have happened here in the last week or two. I think we skipped last week, so that'll be fun to kind of get caught up on everything that's going on. So thanks for everybody that joined the live chat. Who was in the live chat tonight?
Yeah, Scoppers Academy and Lauren. So Dale and Lauren, thanks for coming out. We appreciate it.
Yep. Okay, I'll roll credits, and we'll see you guys here in just a few days.
You're still listening? Wow, that's amazing. Well, I'm here to give you the disclaimer. Normally we do a big, long, drawn-out disclaimer thing saying what's what and who's what and all that other stuff, but I think you guys kind of know that Lucasfilm and Disney have no affiliation with us at all, and we have none with them. We talk about Star Wars, which is their property, and all that other good, fun stuff, but I think you can tell which is our stuff and which is their stuff. If you can't, well, then send a lawyer to send an email to me, and I'll be glad to chat with them. Other than that, you know what's what, so that's your disclaimer.